tutorial is about how we can work on the different views here in 3D module of Planmeca Romexis software. So firstly, the selection of views that we see depends on which sub-module of 3D module we are in. So for example, in panoramic sub-module, we would have the panoramic view and so on. Here in Explore sub-module, we have these basic coronal, sagittal and axial views, as well as the 3D rendering view of the volume. We could always activate these planes here on the 3D rendering tools in order to understand better from where these different slice views are taken from in the volume. Each slice view is marked with color. So for example, for coronal, it's green, so that we can better understand where the slice view is taken from, and we can also better understand how it's related with the other slice views. Each slice view also has these icons to indicate the right and left side of the volume, as well as the anterior and posterior side. We could maximize any of these views to see it bigger. So if we click on this maximization icon here next to any of the views, we can maximize it on the screen. Here in Explore sub-module, we actually have two-step maximization. So by clicking once on this icon, we get this one view bigger, but we still have these other views as reference. If we would then click once more on this icon, it would maximize the coronal view on the whole image viewing area. And we can get back by clicking again on this icon. We can have several views available of any of these slice views. So if we open this small wrench-like icon here, viewport settings, we can find a grid with which we can specify how many slices we have visible. So if we hover our mouse on top of this grid and select an appropriate number of slices, we can just click on that with our mouse, and we get, for example, these 4 views. Like we see, each of the view is indicated by a number, so that we can better understand in the other slice views which view is which. And also when we hover our mouse on top of the views, the respective line gets highlighted here in the other views. By going back to this viewport settings here, we can also specify what is the distance between the two adjacent views. So if we make them further away from each other, we can see the changes here on these slice views as well as in the other views. And we can go back to one coronal view only by selecting one view only. If we would like to view just the raw data in these views, we can hide the overlay here. Just by simply clicking on this icon here in the toolbar, we can hide all overlay. However, when we hover our mouse on top of the raw data, we can always see the coordinates of the cursor, as well as the relative bone density displayed by Hounsfield unit value on that point. If we wouldn't like to get rid of all the overlay, but just, for example, some of these lines, we can always open these default settings here, this wrench-like icon here in the toolbar, and we can deselect the elements that we wouldn't like to be displayed. Also, like we see, we can specify here what would be our preference for the number of slices and for the distance between the different slices in each specific slice view.